Okay, it's a little bit after 7 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. We'll call the Johnston City Council meeting number 23-02 to order. Cindy, roll call, please.
Councilmember Cope?
Here.
Evans?
Here.
Martin?
Here.
Reddy?
Here.
Burkhart?
Here.
I want to welcome everyone that is in the audience this evening. If you are here for an item that is on the agenda, we would ask you to wait for that item to come up and to address the council at that time. If you're here for an item that is not on the agenda, there will be an opportunity under public communications to address the council. The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. And what I typically like to do is invite all of the young people in the audience forward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. It looks like we have lots of them tonight, but I think we have room up here. So why don't I just invite you all up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And Maddie, I think we need to have a picture of this. I don't think we've ever had such a large group.
Come all the way up.
It's your show. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Oh, don't go. What do your sweatshirts say?
I think we'll probably find out.
Oh, okay, all right.
They'll sue you. They'll sue you.
Is that copyright infringement?
First Amendment still.
The next item on the agenda is the agenda approval. Mike, do we have any changes in the agenda?
None this evening, Mayor.
Council, any changes? If not, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Reddy?
Yeah.
Martin?
Yes.
Burkhart?
Yes.
Cope?
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to public communications. We have one scheduled public communication this evening, and that is recognition of the Johnston Middle School mock trial team for winning the state tournament. And I think maybe that might be what the t-shirts were all about. Okay, well, come forward. These are in the spotlight. So what do these t-shirts say? Yeah, go ahead.
It says these boots weren't made for walking
And so what does that mean?
because she that person fell. So
Oh.
That was part of the.
Don't slip and fall.
Okay, yeah. Well, let me
Hopefully it
just share
didn't
some
occur on the
information
Johnson side of
that
this.
was provided to me about the team and why you're here tonight. You're recognized for your great honor. And then I'm going to ask you to tell me a little bit about what you've done, why, what, from your perspective, why you're here and what a great opportunity it's been for you. So anyway, this is the Johnston Middle School mock trial team, and they won the state tournament just recently, like when did this happen? First week in December, so very, very recently. What I'm told is the Iowa Middle School mock trial program is the largest in the nation. Each fall, students in grades 6 through 8 are presented with a challenging legal problem and set out to prepare and present both sides of the case to a panel of volunteer lawyers and judges. And you all participate in some way as an attorney or a witness. The Iowa mock trial program has been in existence since 1983, and Johnston has had teams participate ever since it was first created, which is amazing. So this team, the Johnston Dragon team, is one of 4 middle school mock trial teams that competed this past fall for Johnston. The team is comprised of 10, there's 10 of you? 10 7th and 8th grade students. An attorney coach is the attorney coach for this? Not with us today. And 2 high school coaches. There we go. So this team, the Dragon team, beat the Regis Middle School, which is from Cedar Rapids, in the final round of the state tournament, making Johnston #1 out of 128 teams that competed across the. That is amazing. I am so impressed because I'm an attorney, and I couldn't imagine when I was in 6th grade or 7th grade or 8th grade participating in a mock trial event like this. And so I am just so inspired by all of you. It just takes so much courage and so much skill and ambition to do it. Tell me what this means for you. David, how about you go? Is he your spokesperson?
I think it's like what we did for this year and for some of us, like after 2
We need a
years.
microphone.
So I think that it's like what comes after like 2 years or like 1 year of hard work, and it's just like motivation to keep doing hard things.
So someone else tell me, what did you learn from this experience?
I think that I learned to be a lot more confident in my speaking and really know like what to say as a witness and stuff like that.
And that is an incredible skill. Feeling comfortable speaking to a group, speaking in public, and not feeling intimidated by it.
I learned to come up with a solution during like a hard or like stressful like time. Come up with a solution.
Critical skill thinking, right? Is this on?
Is this on?
Yeah.
Coaches, what do you have to say about this group?
I just want to say this group means a lot to me. I've pushed them so hard for a lot of the time. Not everyone else could be there, so it was really me and 10 middle schoolers, and that was very stressful. But every challenge I threw at them, every time I pushed them to work harder and gave them more feedback, they took everything I did, and I'm so proud of how hard they've worked, and it just means a lot to me that I got to be one of their coaches this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen each and every one of you really come out of your shell during the time we worked together. Like, I don't know, you've all gotten so much more confident in who you are, and watching you guys perform and seeing how excited you got after every win and how motivated you were to keep going and to keep getting better was very special. So I'm really proud of all of you.
You all think you're going to be #1? No. Well, obviously, it's somewhere inside of you. You must have thought that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have worked so hard. You wouldn't have succeeded in doing it. So again, we are so proud of you. So how many of you are going to be attorneys when you grow up?
Don't do it. Be it scientist or do something to contribute to society.
Well, even if you don't become attorneys, the skills that you're learning through this process will benefit you no matter what career, what course of action, what education you pursue. So good for all of you. So this is the trophy, huh? Carry that with you everywhere. But you're pretty proud to be carrying it tonight, right? So anything else to share with the group here tonight? Well, we could not be more proud of you. We need to have a group picture. So you're going to have to come together here. As the city council members. Let me stand in the center here. Are we a little outside? A little bit. Let's move that direction real quick. Okay. Perfect. Looking good. Well, again, congratulations. And we just wish you all the best. Keep up the good work. You bet. Thank you.
There goes our audience. Goodness, we lost the entire crowd. Well, we are still under public communications. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll go on to public hearings. We have one public hearing this evening, and that is to conduct a public hearing for the proposed 2023 through 2024 capital improvement budget and the proposed capital improvement plan 2023-24 through 2027-28 and resolution number 23-11. And we'll open this public hearing at 7:18.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Included in the packet tonight was the full capital improvement plan for you for your consideration, 5-year plan, FY '24 through FY '28, and the budget for the 23-24 capital improvement budget is also included in there as well. The committees that have met over the past few months, the Park Board, council work sessions, and various council committees have met to discuss these projects for the capital improvement plan. And having done so, we like to have this adopted and kind of put aside before you finally adopt the budget, as these the FY '24 or the 23-24 projects will be included in that budget that you adopt in March of this coming year. Exhibit A, as part of Resolution 2311, is the multi-year summary of the projects by plan, and the 23-24 budget calls for projects that total $25,544,380. All of these projects are going to require the issuance of debt for potential projects that are going to be supported by the tax levy, stormwater utility fees, TIF revenue, and water and sewer improvements. We will be seeking additional state revolving loan funds for a number of the projects. We are also going to be repurposing a number of previous bond funds that we have received for projects. Currently have a meeting set for this week with our bond attorney, Eric Bullard, and Matt Stufel, as we determine which projects we have that are either finished or very, very close to being finished and wrapped up, that I can use funds that are remaining project funds and transfer over, versus borrowing now, which we know is a much higher interest rate time right now than we've had in the past. So we're going to try to make that issuance. Originally, the issuance of debt was going to be about 15 million. We think that we actually have that down to about 10 million as we use some current funds that we already have. Let's see. Included also with the CIP, or the full document, is the city administrator, Mike Pogge Weaver's statement. And in his statement, he talks about the priorities of the capital improvements and the projects that we have, how we do the financing, and talks about our debt capacity and what we should be focusing on, and where our debt capacity will be at the end of, or projected into the next fiscal year, and how that changes. And then again, remembering that the city needs to not bring on more debt than we are paying off, and Otherwise, that trend is unsustainable. We've worked on that for the past several years. And I think we will be issuing the 23-24 debt actually is going to be issued in FY 23, 22, 23, which is going to mean an amendment in this year's budget and a difference kind of in the FY 24 budget. But we're doing that because of the timing of our rating that we need to get, and when Matt feels is our best opportunity to get the best rate. In all honesty, he thinks that we will be probably selling in May versus waiting to sell in July. Maybe that'll be changing here in a few months, I'm not sure, but that's kind of where we're at right now. Were there any questions regarding the CIP? I know we've talked about it for month after month after month. Any questions about the projects that are in there? Department directors are all here if you have any specific questions about any projects. Again, a reminder, although they're in there, you guys have to approve every contract with an engineering firm or every public bidding for a project anyway. So even if we have it budgeted, if the times change at the time that we want to do the project and you choose not to, you have that right, of course, to not go forward with the project.
Council, have any questions for Teresa?
It isn't really a question per se, but I'm looking at page 7 of the document, which is one of Matt Stoffel's spreadsheets. And I think, and Teresa, you've done a really, really good job of telling us that we really need to make some tough decisions. But I think we all have to acknowledge we haven't made those tough decisions yet. And here's what my concern is. So if you look at page 7, it shows the tax rate there of it per $1,000. And so for this year, it's at the $2.34, and that's with $2.6 million of lost funds coming in to keep it at that $2.34. But if you look at future years, and it's all highlighted, that tax rate per $1,000 in yellow, that rate starts to go up. $2.44, $2.75, $2.90 some odd cents, $3.22. And that is with an additional $500,000 of lost money coming in to try to keep that levy low. So even with an additional $500,000 of lost money, we're still not keeping that levy at what we want to do. And so we had this discussion earlier, and obviously, and if you look all the way over, one of the drivers of it is, one is just overall size of project. So one thought was, well, let me look at the east of Merle Hay, north of 62nd Avenue, and trying to figure out, and I know that's been phased a little bit longer to kind of manage that a little bit. And I think that's a really important project. We've done so many positive things in our city with the east of Merle Hay, south of 62nd Avenue. It's an important investment in a part of our community that really kind of felt like they weren't receiving a lot of attention from the city. I think it's been a significant, very positive project. And we have to extend that to the north as well. But even with that phasing, we still have this financial challenge. So I think I'm very comfortable with the CIP that we have for this year, but I think we all have to acknowledge that this is kind of a runaway freight train right now, and we're gonna have to make some further adjustments, or it won't be responsible managing it on the part of us. And so we just need to accept that responsibility, and hopefully we're willing to do that. But we're right on the edge of something that could be very problematic. And so I'm really concerned about that. Not what we're doing this year so much, but what we have in the out years. I think we really have got to find a way to manage it, to rein this in, because we got a problem.
I agree with you, Tom. And I'd also point out to you, if you look at that third column, third column, you'll see that Matt's only projecting 0.3% growth in valuation. 0.3% growth in taxable valuation. That's because of what we heard from the LAS. I always get those initials. Okay. Last week, they did confirm the 49% in rollback. and what that will do to us. And so that really takes a hit on your debt service levy and things like that as well. So yeah, that runaway train's going to be coming at you from a couple different tracks, I'm afraid. So we're going to probably have to start early again. Every year, it seems like we start talking about this thing right after we put it to bed, about what are we going to start doing again.
And that might be that we're good. I think we're going to have to make changes in these out year of the CIP, and I look forward to that being either whether it's a finance committee initial discussion and then a full council discussion. But if we come back with the same CIP next year, it's going to be unsustainable. I can't support it. I can't support that much money of loss going in. I can't support a higher level of debt. But at the same time, I also don't want to not do the Eastern Merle Hay north of 62nd project either. I mean, we've got to find other ways to do it because that's an important project too. So
Great, thank you.
Other comments or questions for Teresa? This is a public hearing on this item. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing then at 7:28. Do we have a motion to approve resolution number 23-11?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Ready,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Coe,
yes,
Evans.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Ready,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Coe,
Yes,
Evans,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to the non-consent agenda, item 7A, consider resolution number 23-14, approving modifications to the conveyance of real estate under the terms and conditions of an amendment number 1 to the development agreement by and among the City of Johnston, Douglas A. Carlson Development, Inc., and Johnston Hospitality, LLC, and approving and authorizing execution of the amendment number 1. Adam.
Good evening, Council. The purpose for this amendment is to primarily adjust the closing date for the end of this month and to remove a small portion of the property for the proposed transfer. The developer had previously received an appraisal, was not favorable. They've gone back and done a new appraisal. It has come back sufficient for them to be able to move forward. So they are anticipating now closing here at the end of January, but that is a couple months later than they originally anticipated and what's written in the current development agreement. The other issue it's changing here is the portiere. I always pronounce that word wrong, but basically the car canopy here. That extends out into Outlot Z, which encompasses all the public, all the Town Center Association communal infrastructure, so all the roadways, parking lots, those areas. The easement and restriction agreement does allow for, it does provide an easement for that car canopy. But we had, knowing that that would be private investment on public property, desired to sell that piece to the hotel property owner. However, the lease agreements for the lease purchase and the construction of the infrastructure in City Hall would require the bank to sign off on that. And so having heard about this kind of late in the game, we're going to go ahead and utilize that easement as opposed to transfer that property. And then if we need to at some point in the future, work through that with the bank to be able to transfer that back. But it's not a material difference from a staff perspective. It was just a preference that if we can have the private investment be on the private property, let's do that. But because there's already an easement for the car canopy in the ERA agreement, it's already ready to go in that way. Beyond those two changes, there's nothing else of significance. Purchase price remains the same, $183,400. The rebates do not change. Site plan and the hotel design also all remain the same. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Council have any questions for Adam? Not, do we have a motion to approve resolution number 23-14?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Burkhart,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Ready.
Yes.
Motion passed. Item 8B, consider approval of claims in the amount of $872,885.90.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Cope,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Ready,
Yes.
Burkhart.
Yes.
Motion passed. City administrator staff comments.
I don't have any specific comments. I know Adam would like to talk about the 4-star development agreement.
Adam?
With the council having passed the CIP and with Tom's words of caution here, I just wanted to make sure the entire council is sort of up to speed on a project that's brewing up along 141, 415. Specifically, we're talking about approximately 57 acres here north of Rowe Drive and west of Northwest 110th Court. You can kind of see the yellow dots here. It's those two parcels primarily. The group 4-star development is working towards a flex tech project consisting of approximately 8 to 10 buildings on this properties. They're planning to be able to move forward with this as soon as essentially infrastructure is up there and ready for them. Based on our current CIP, we're working towards a fall of 2025 timeline for water and sewer, both of which property, City of Johnston, water and sewer. So we've been working with them on a number of different studies, trying to work on setting the connection fee district rates, establish the correct zoning classification, which would be preliminary E2, which is the employment district, kind of the heavier employment district one. Looking at architectural design that they'd be trying to accomplish and looking at road improvements in this area. So there's some significant investments being planned by the City of Johnston, but also this developer. We anticipate this would be encompassed into a urban renewal area. There would be TIF rebates associated with the buildings and or potentially infrastructure improvements, Northwest 110th Court in particular. Maybe the 4-inch asphalt overlay. It's going to need additional lanes and additional paving. So we've been working towards this, what was previously an MOU, but we've just phrased it as a preliminary project schedule, so that both parties, the city and the developer, are aware of what the anticipated investments are and the timelines for those, so that we can all plan accordingly for them to be able to move forward with the project and for the city to have the infrastructure up there appropriately. This is a quick concept map of what they're looking to do. If you're ever driving down 2nd Street, I believe it is, in Ankeny, 5548 Northwest 2nd Street. You'll see another similar type project that this developer has done. It has a very large US flag at the top of the hill there on 2nd Street. Hard to miss it. That's his building, Flex Tech building. Kind of looks about 1.5 stories, various architectural features to it, but essentially has a multi-tenant feel to it with a little bit of warehousing and office space in it. So that's essentially what he's looking to try to do here, is attract small businesses in that light industrial office warehousing distributions type style of businesses, and have this right off the interchange of 415 and Highway 141.
Can you tell me again the address of the 2nd Avenue in Ankeny?
5548 Northwest 2nd Street. Don't want to belabor the point here. You can certainly read through the terms in there, but it essentially mirrors the city's CIP plans, establishes our timeline for trying to get those connection fees outlined and some of those road traffic studies that we're working towards up there, and lays out a tentative commitment for the developer to rezone the property and then construct the first building, approximately 75,000 square feet, within 18 months of the water and sewer infrastructure arriving up to the property. and also looks at the potential for the developer to construct the 18-inch water main that would traverse his property and then continue along Northwest Saylorville Drive. That would be a significant upsizing by the developer, but something they're willing to construct as part of the overall infrastructure improvements up here with that upsizing cost paid for by the city. Also willing to participate in any joint applications for RISE grants, if any of the businesses up here might be qualified for that, and undertake any roadway improvements necessary for the project to be initiated. So that's a real quick summary. Happy to answer any questions. But again, just kind of wanted to get this in front of the council so you had awareness of what they're working towards and how that aligns with the council's CIP plan improvements as they currently stand.
Questions for Adam?
Adam, did you say this structure they're building up here is just warehouses, or is that more than warehouses?
There'll be a little bit of a mixture. I think there'll be a warehousing component most likely in some of these. Many of the Flex Tech buildings have that. If you go down into Grimes, kind of where Ignite facility is at, you see a larger version of these Flex Tech buildings, but they can have anything from a recreation facility like Ignite to more of an office feel, which the Hubble ones in Birchwood Court, their most recent building, again, is kind of defined as a Flex Tech on the larger side of things. But most of them have some sort of a distribution element alongside the office. May have a small retail component to it, but it's not primarily retail. It's not primarily industrial in nature. It's a little bit of a mixture of types of commercial uses.
You've mentioned this, the Ankeny project that he has. How much larger from a sort of square footage standpoint, if you add these 8 or 9 buildings together, would this project be kind of in scope compared to that? And if you don't have the answer, you can maybe just.
I don't have a firm answer to that. And my guess, just having driven by that this weekend, is that the Ankeny building might be on the larger side of one of the buildings on here, but that's just one building. It's not a collection of.
Right. Yeah, so in essence, it's like he's got the one building in Ankeny, and this will be
An entire.
not 9 times that, but it's maybe 4 or 5 times.
5 or 6 times, probably larger than that, yeah.
And then if we're targeting you said fall of 2025, that water and sewer would be available. So they would probably be starting construction maybe middle of 2024, in theory.
Yeah, they've built themselves a little bit of a buffer that, they wouldn't really need an occupancy permit until 18 months after infrastructure is there. You consider a general 12-month kind of time frame to get a building of one of these larger ones in size to get constructed. But yeah, I think they'd be working on comparable infrastructure to serve these buildings along that same time frame as our phase B of water and sewer headed up there, and then transition right into the foundations and footings after that is what their stated intent is.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, Adam. I'm looking at the pictures of the development that's in Ankeny, and it's a very low profile. And the buildings are pleasant. The landscaping is practically nil. Perhaps they're not done. Perhaps that's based on what Ankeny has zoning there. So not something you can answer at this time, but I remember when we talked about this development prior, it was that there was going to be kind of a 2 frontage to those buildings, especially that line directly to the east of 141. So I would like to have, maybe I could get a cut sheet or something about what kind of landscape requirements, what kind of development requirements we have in terms of the landscaping along actually for the whole complex. I mean, is it how many trees per 1,000 square feet of open space? What kind of landscape we're going to require them to do? I'd just be interested in what they're coming forward with. I know this is not a residential, this is a commercial site. They bought this property, which is probably very high value because they need the view for their buildings. Totally understand that. But I also think that landscape there is pretty substandard. And so I'm curious what is going to be required. That's all.
Yeah, I'd have to refer you to Clayton or Aaron on what the E2 landscaping requirements are, but, our conversations to point, which we're not at the site plan approval stage yet, but have been that architecturally, the building will need to have a good appearance, similar to the town center buildings, particularly the ones that abut 141, which wouldn't be their access point, really be kind of the back of their building from an access standpoint, but is going to be the impression of people of Johnston coming in off of 141.
100%. It's an impression of Johnston, and we want it not to just look, I'm hoping, cookie cutter. And I'm hoping they see it as an investment too. If they put some more money into this frontage, those ones in the back, we won't perhaps be as restrictive. Thank you.
Other questions or comments for Adam? Thank you, Adam. Moving on to city council comments. Councilman Evans.
Nada.
Councilman Reddy.
Nope, not today.
Councilman Cope.
So last Monday, the Des Moines Partnership had an event that they do each year to kind of kick off the legislative session. And it's kind of a unique event because what they do is they invite in all of the different local chambers to, and along with a local restaurant from each community to come and maybe provide a little food. And so the restaurant that was featured for Johnston, so Samantha Weinbrenner from the Johnston Chamber was there, was Cajun Bell, which is it's a breakfast place that's on Merle Hay, right next to Child Serve, pretty close to Child Serve. And so I got a chance, the owner is a guy, my name is Zach Hollier, and I'm not pronouncing his last name right. He's from Beaumont, Texas. And you can tell by the big cowboy hat. And Zach came to Des Moines through Grandview football. He played football at Grandview and then stayed in the area and got into the restaurant business. So it's interesting because it's to me, one of the things we hear from our residents is, oh, I wish we had more restaurant options in Johnston. And I would say, and obviously that's something I think we all don't disagree with, but it's amazing the amount of diverse new restaurant opportunities that have opened up in Johnston, especially here on Merle Hay, and a lot with local ties. So it was just kind of, as I kind of got to meet Zach a little bit that night, it had just been kind of, as I've driven up and down Merle Hay, because I wanted to go by and check out his place, there's just a lot of great opportunities and a lot of positive things. And obviously, city, we're doing as much as we can. JEDCO, it's a priority for JEDCO as well, and for the chamber as well. So I think a lot of positive things are being, seen in that front along, especially we're doing great in Merle Hay. When Canes opens on 86th Street, that'll certainly help 86th Street out a little bit as well. But a lot of great, you got a lot of great restaurant options over there, Amigo, DeRice, and others as well. So we're making some progress in that area, and just kind of wanted to pass that along. So
I appreciate you giving those shout outs, Councilmember Cope. Mayor, you do a fantastic job of greeting all of our guests each time we have a meeting, and especially fun to see you interact with those middle school mockers in that capacity. I'm
It's a
proud.
delight to have them here.
I'm proud of all of them, and certainly needs to be said as well. Their teachers put a lot of work in, as well as all those kids, and those 3 other teams helped get that team that we got to meet tonight to their place. So it's always fun to see what our kids in this wonderful school
They
district and
excel in
wonderful city do.
everything.
Absolutely. So
Amazing.
thank you for making it so open for them.
I'll just be really brief. I enjoyed going to Cork. I tried that out. My husband and his man friends were next door at the brewery, and it was like after a basketball game, and it was so loud. I very much appreciated being able to just go right over here and have a very nice, calm glass of wine. So I feel like the 2 of them will work well together.
Very good. Matt, are we ready for the next snowstorm? We are. Very good. Perfect. That's all I needed to hear. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, we are adjourned.